Okay, so I have a Toyota Avalon, and the back speaker basically blew out about 6 months ago, and I was gonna go ahead and replace it with another subwoofer, but then I ran into two main issues. One of the main issues was that because this special factory-made subwoofer, the back end of this goes into the trunk of the car. It's not in a small isolated box. The average subwoofer wouldn't work because it's in a closed system. This is in what they consider an open system. So that would basically mean that if I put a random subwoofer in there, it could potentially blow. The other issue that I came up with when I was learning about thinking of an alternative was simply that the subwoofer that I would have, let's say at a Best Buy or an audio store, it may actually use more amperage, more power than the factory amp that's in my Toyota. The problem with that is I could very easily burn out the factory subwoofer, and then I have to spend probably like $600-800, even though the car is like 15 years old. It would just cost a lot of money. So the alternative was to find an exact replacement speaker for this old one. Now I went to a couple junkyards, I had no luck. I went online, I did find some alternative speakers that would work, but I ran into basically money, right? So a replacement one of these comparable to the size and the form was like $130. So instead what I decided to do was see if I could repair it. If you take a look around the perimeter, you can observe this kind of dust, except it's not dust, it's actually material from this cone right here, and it's just breaking down. If I remove this top here, that might give a bit clearer example. And right here, as I push down, you can see, that more clearly what the issue is. See that? All along this edge, it's just come undone. So from the bottom, I can push it up, and you can see that all around this it's broken. And of course this causes massive distortion. Now I'm certainly not going to advertise for them, but I got it from Simply Speaker, and I paid about $25 for this cone, which is right here, this perimeter. I'm not sure what you even call it. It's cloth-like, just like the original. It's a little bit more rigid, I think. And it also came with a 1-hour curing adhesive. I don't know, I mean it's a glue, but who knows specifically what's in here. But it only takes 1 hour to cure, so that's kind of nice. So the basically what I need to do is clean this up, remove this from the cone, and put some new adhesive on, put the old one on, put the new one on with the new adhesive around the cone, and then put adhesive around this chassis here, and then that should be it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try and remove, I think, I'm going to try and target it from here, and then pull up rather than pull down on it. And let's hope, there we go, we got some good luck, there we go. See, I don't want to remove, this is part of the cone, and I don't want to remove that, I just want to remove this part. So I'm going to try and keep it down as I pull it up. There we go, and then just cut this top right here. Okay, there we go. And just again, I gotta be careful not to just pull too hard. Just like taking a sticker off paper, you just have to be very careful. And, oh boy, it's so old. There we go. I think if I pull it, if I'm pulling it perpendicular to the center there, it seems to come off quite easily, and I'm not tearing my cone up. If I tear it up too much, not only of course do I just make damage in the cone, but it might be more difficult for the glue to adhere to that. So I don't want to tear that cone. So now let me just take the rest of it off. Again, try and pulling it more or less perpendicular to the center. And this is what I was hoping for, just this coming off and peeling off really easily. So it's just the start of it. It's all it takes. Here we go. Oh, it's going too fast there. You can really see the color from the sun, you know, how much darker this is compared to the original color. And that makes sense, and that's why this is broken and just worn down over a period of time. And how I'm going to prepare this is just scrape off this old glue and the cone here. So let me start on that. And you know, it's really a simple process. It doesn't require anything or anyone with a special background. You know, you don't need a background in audio to really just clean this up, scrape it off, and put new glue on. It's not magic by any means. There we go. See, I'm just scraping this off right here. Alright, so I think I've done a pretty decent job. There's definitely a lot of sticky residue around the sides, but I think I've got most of it, as you can see, pretty well taken care of. There's a little bit here and there, and I'll wipe that off. So the next part is going to be to glue the cone, and then after that to glue adhesive the frame. Now the instructions want us to do the inside of the cone first, and so it also says to not be so liberal in that this is a pretty strong adhesive. So let me zoom in on that and show you how much it's saying that it needs. So we just want to apply just enough, and we can spread it around afterwards with our finger, and then just kind of apply it right like that. Distribute it out so it's around the center there. Drying. So as soon as I have it on, I need to basically put this on right away. There we go. And I'll try and align it where the old one was, and we can see by the shadow where that was. And so now I'm just going to press down around it. And just keep it flat like this if I can, to allow the glue to properly adhere. Now, one of the challenges with doing something like this is trying to make sure that this is centered as much as possible with respect to the cone. If I put this on and it's too much in one direction, for example my way or to the right, then as it's moving up and down, when we later on adhese it, it's going to, this may overlap on the side, so we have to be very careful. Okay, so it's been about 49 minutes, and if we take a look around the sides, we can see that we don't have any liquid. Everything there is pretty dried. So my next challenge is going to be to put the glue around the metal chassis, and then from there wait another hour or so, and then we should be set to go. So let me get this a little bit closer. We'll put some glue right on this metal piece, and I'll just do a little bit and spread it. I think that's probably the best way to do that. I don't want to move this new cone any more than I have to. So again, making sure it gets 100% around all around the metal. I'm not so worried about getting too much on this, just because if it overflows, it's on the metal. I'm more worried, to be honest, about not getting enough. I will tell you, this definitely is like rubber cement. I'm having to apply it quite fast, as I can feel some of it drying. In fact, I'm just going to push down on it a little bit. I can feel some of that just being adhesive right away, turning it to solid. Okay. So I think definitely a little bit messy. Definitely a little bit messy. I've got 3 clean fingers left, so I'm going around. Oh, now I've got 2 clean fingers left. Oh, now I got 1 or 2 clean fingers left. So I'm going around just dabbing right now. Now, one of the benefits that I have is the cone, my speaker here, has a protective overlay that I'm going to put on to help keep pressure on the sides. Now, just very quickly, I'm going to press straight in the center and feel if I can feel it rubbing. So I don't feel it rubbing at all. If I felt that it was rubbing, I'd quickly try and move it one way or the other. So it's not rubbing, because it seems like I did a pretty good job just making sure it's centered. Now I have this right here, goes right over it. And I'm going to attach this because it'll put pressure around the perimeter as it's gluing. And obviously that's something that not everyone can have depending on their speaker setup. But I'm going to take advantage of it. Just be careful as I can. Not all speakers are made equally. We've got different dimensions, which even if it's almost perfect, if it allows the least amount of air through, your surround sound system or your bass is just not going to sound quality. So the factory system always sounds better than than a replacement if you're just trying to fix the system up. And for that reason alone, that's why I thought replacing this and trying to fix just the small part was so much better. It wasn't just economically, financially. It also made sense because now I don't have to try and find one that's exactly the same size, that's going to be just as soundproof and airtight, and I'm talking about more of the dimensions here, as the original one. So with that, I'm going to install this, and I expect it to sound fantastic. I don't know if you can see that, but as you can see, it moves good. There's no problem, and when I press in the center, I'm not feeling any rubbing. I'm feeling excellent resistance. And if you take a look from the back end, I hope you can see that. I'm not sure if you can see from the back end, but it's also solid back there. I did inspect around the perimeter of the cone, and I did not see any evidence of a leak, any air gaps. So that's probably something that I can tell later on. But I think that we're set to go. So, in the future, whether this is for a car or whether it's for a Bose subwoofer system that that people have, you can just replace maybe some of these cones, or not the cones, sorry, some of the rubber piece if that's the issue, rather than spending money on a whole new one. And it's a good weekend project that takes 45 minutes tops.